Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to today's DevOps.com program, brought to you by Techstrong, AWS, and CircleCI. My name is Cody J. Brown. I'm the host of Techstrong Learning, and we have an exciting program ahead. First, I do need to cover just a couple of housekeeping notes. Today's session is being recorded, so if you miss any of our discussion, maybe you have to leave early, or maybe you're not even hearing me now and you're going to join us late, you can always rewatch it on demand, and we'll get that over to you after today's live recording. If you have any questions, we want you to send those in to us using the Q&A tab, which can be found on the right side of the screen. That's where you'll also find the chat tab, and that's where we want you to get to know your fellow audience members. Let us know your thoughts throughout today's program, from where you're joining us, or maybe what your role is in your company. And of course, before we close out, we are giving away 4 $25 Amazon gift cards. So be sure to stick around for the duration of today's program. So on to the topic, migrate from Jenkins to CircleCI on AWS to accelerate your software delivery. And I'm joined today by Sam Olukatun, Senior Solutions Engineer at CircleCI, and Zvi Zandani, Solutions Engineer at CircleCI. Sam and Zvi, thank you both so much for joining us. Zvi, do you want to go ahead and take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Cody. Okay, so hello and welcome everyone for joining our webinar. My name is Zvi. I'm a CircleCI Solutions Engineer. And today we are going to talk about current challenges that I believe many organizations have that they may or may not even aware of in their software delivery process. More specifically, with current legacy tools that are causing bottlenecks, and how CircleCI and AWS can help remove those obstacles to accelerate your software delivery journey. In today's webinar agenda, we'll talk about common challenges with using Jenkins and how over time those may be difficult to solve. We're going to go through CircleCI overview and highlighted features that can potentially help solve some of the current problems you may have today. Then we will see a live demo with Sam. And then finally, we will share some CircleCI customer success stories. So we're going to move on to a poll right now. I'm going to go ahead and read out the questions and the answers. So what is the top most challenges you are facing using Jenkins? The first one is difficult to manage, optimize, and scale. Second one is lack of onboarding and support. Third one is lack of visibility into pipeline usage and performance. And the last one is very difficult to integrate other DevOps tools. So I'm going to pause here for about maybe like 8 seconds and let you complete that questionnaire. All right. So some of you have already used Jenkins for some time and probably encountered some challenges, especially as your application and team grow and things in your CI/CD pipeline become more complex. And that's not necessarily a bad problem to have, right? After getting some feedback from our customers at CircleCI that had experience with Jenkins, we put together the most common issues using Jenkins. And the first common, probably most common feedback is that it is difficult to manage and maintain. Installing the software and managing plugins is a very manual process. Developers get slow feedback loops due to challenges with optimizing resources and difficulties debugging failed jobs. The third one was internal teams have to do a lot of the heavy lifting to train teams and maintain Jenkins, since it is an open source tool with no formal support. And then finally, the lack of data metrics to measure the team's performance. At CircleCI, we strive to make the developer life as easy as possible so that all they need to be doing is developing software. So how is CircleCI different? There are 3 attributes that differentiate us from others in the field. The first one is CircleCI is a full DevOps platform with a developer-focused mindset. Developers can quickly debug and recover their failed jobs. Simple and easy to use reusable configuration. We'll see some examples later on the presentation. And as more development teams are using Dockerized apps today, CircleCI offers first-class Docker support. And the CircleCI Insight board allows developers to track progress and team performance. Second one is that we believe that scale and performance should be one of the key business objectives. Access to flexible resource options is what empowers developers to right-size their environment and achieve optimal build times without friction. And we'll see another example for that today. And then finally, CircleCI takes the security of applications seriously. We partner with top security organizations to ensure that your projects are built, deployed, and maintained securely. We give you the ability to leverage the power of the cloud while still achieving security requirements for the financial industry. We are SOC 2 and FedRAMP compliant. Also, to help you and your team onboard and make the best usage of our powerful platform, our dedicated support experts can help guide you so you get the most optimal experience possible with CircleCI. Essentially, what all these features enable you is to ship code quality faster and more securely to your customers' hands. When it comes to configuring CircleCI, we believe in configuration as code. And the idea behind this is that all the configuration to build, test, and deploy software should be easy, transparent, and ideally remove any bottlenecks in the pipeline. Now, that means that development, operations, and security teams should be able to collaborate together in the full setup of your software development lifecycle. This setup can be achieved with a file called config in the YAML format. Now, you might ask yourself, why YAML? The idea behind using a YAML file is because it is easy to configure and has a very low learning curve. Unlike a groovy Jenkins file, YAML is becoming the de facto industry standard human-readable configuration setup. The config file should be checked in your source control repository along with the rest of your project. This way, the teams can easily collaborate and increase transparency throughout their software development process. Now, in this example, we are configuring a build job that will run in an isolated containerized node environment that is pre-configured with a large compute resources, which is actually 4 CPUs and 8 gigabytes of RAM. In general, a CI/CD pipeline can be defined in the config.yaml file. Workflows will be the second in this hierarchy and can contain one or more jobs orchestrated in a specific sequence. The job will carry all the command executions and steps necessary to complete the purpose of the job. Now, you may ask, but how can I keep good control over this configuration? For this specific question, CircleCI created orbs. Orbs are reusable, shareable configuration packages. You can think of them as snippets of YAML code that are dynamically expanded during runtime. Unlike plugins, orbs are a much safer way to configure pipelines and easy to use. Now, orb can help eliminate duplicate work when configuring multiple projects within your organization. In this example, we are taking advantage of the AWS S3 bucket orb to deploy to a bucket on AWS with 3 simple lines of configuration. Also, we offer many integrations with our AWS partner. We do have a dedicated page that helps guide AWS users to continue to enjoy the awesome features AWS offers with the ability to integrate with CircleCI to enjoy both worlds. In this page, you can find things like how to deploy to ECR, EKS, AWS Lambda, and more. One area that CircleCI really shines is when it comes to speed and optimization. Before we continue, I'm going to go ahead and prompt you for another poll questions, the second one, and I'm going to go ahead and again read it out loud. So the question is, what is your primary infrastructure for application development and modernization? And this is going to be a multiple choice. The first one is going to be AWS. Second one is going to be Azure. Third one is going to be Google. Fourth is going to be IBM Red Hat. And the last one is going to be on-premise. All right. So we were talking about speed and optimization. So keep in mind, as your application scales, you may need to increase resources to make sure your pipeline can handle the workload. Adjusting resources to optimize performance can be easily configured by and handled by CircleCI. CircleCI offers a wide variety of compute resources and handles all the infrastructure on the back end, so developers can continue their work smoothly and uninterrupted. So far, we saw how easy scaling up resources can be with CircleCI. To optimize build times, you can also take advantage of the awesome CircleCI concurrency and parallelism features. Now, concurrency refers to the number of jobs you can run concurrently. Notice in the following example, we have 2 jobs that are running concurrently. This will divide the work so that one job doesn't have to wait for the previous job to finish if it is not necessary. Now, one of the most important contributors to developer efficiency is whether devs can get the information they need as soon as possible. And test results might top that list. Again, any time a developer spends waiting for tests to run is time not spent writing the next piece of code. Not to mention the cost of waiting around and losing context on what they've been working on. Fast feedback is everything. With parallelism, you can split up your tests in multiple instances of a job to have those tests running in parallel. Now, one common use case is taking a unit testing job and splitting the test to multiple nodes. Of course, in this example, the tests are not dependent on each other and can run in parallel. This can potentially reduce significant amounts of build time from your testing suite. Ultimately, using those features can greatly influence development productivity. As part of our mission to make it as easy as possible to go from idea to delivery, CircleCI offers a special space for developers called the Developer Hub portal. Developers can find easy access to resources like tutorials, CircleCI convenience, Docker images, orbs, and other tools and utilities like the Jenkins file converter. Specifically, the Jenkins file converter can help with transition from Jenkins to CircleCI by converting your current Jenkins file to a CircleCI config file. Now for the fun stuff, I will hand it over to Sam for the practical demonstration.
Awesome. Thank you, Svi. I will start by sharing my screen. And Svi, if you wouldn't mind, please let me know when you can see my screen here. Okay, Svi, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, Sam. Thank you.
Fabulous. All right. Greetings again, everyone. And thank you all for making time to join us today. As Svi mentioned, my name is Sam, and I am a Senior Solutions Engineer here at CircleCI. Over the next few minutes, what I will be doing is showing you a few of the features that Svi has highlighted and show you how they look like on CircleCI's platform. To get us started, I will first be talking you through the steps it takes to onboard a project onto CircleCI. And after that, I will show you what a day-to-day usage of CircleCI might look like for an average developer. So jumping right in. To get started with CircleCI, you would start by coming to circleci.com. And over on the right side of the page, you will see the options to either log in or sign up. If this is your first time coming onto CircleCI, clicking either one of these buttons would land you on a page where you can log in either with an email, your GitHub credentials, or with Bitbucket. This page highlights the different VCS integrations that CircleCI has in place. And in addition to GitHub and Bitbucket, by logging in with email, CircleCI also empowers you to integrate any of the projects that you are currently building on GitLab, for instance. Once you log in either with GitLab, GitHub, or your Bitbucket credentials, what you will see next is a page in which you get the chance to log in and add any projects that you want to start building on CircleCI. This is what the projects page looks like in CircleCI's app. And within this page, CircleCI imports all the projects that you have access to within your repository. This makes it easy to quickly get up and running with CircleCI to onboard any of these projects. To onboard any of these projects onto CircleCI, you could either scroll through the list to find the project you're interested in, or you can use the filter at the top here to pick a specific project that you want to onboard. Let's say I want to onboard this project. I can click on this convenient Setup Project button here. And from here, CircleCI gives you several options to allow you to onboard the project. You can start by either using a config file that you may have on one of the branches of your project already. Or let's say this is a brand new project, but you have a config file on a different project. CircleCI gives you the option to import a copy of that project from a different repository by specifying the name of the repository you want in here. In addition to that, CircleCI gives you the option to use either an existing YAML file or to import a template YAML file and then commit that to the branch and start building on CircleCI. Once that's done, you will be landed on the dashboard, the pipeline's dashboard page, where you will see all the projects that you are currently building on CircleCI. From this page, you can either filter for all the projects that are building in your organization, or you can filter for the projects that you yourself, the pipelines that you yourself have kicked off. In addition to that, you can filter for specific projects. You can filter also for specific branches. You can filter for a certain time window, or additionally for the status of any of those pipelines. From this view, CircleCI gives you a quick and intuitive way to get an overview of what projects are building in your organization, as well as their current status. From here, you can click on the workflow to get into the workflow view. The workflow view gives you a representation of how all the jobs that are running within that workflow are related to each other, as well as their status and how long they have taken to run. Within this view, some of CircleCI's features that I am demonstrating are the ability to run jobs concurrently. As Fee mentioned, this is a feature on CircleCI that allows you to run jobs that don't have dependencies on one another at the same time. By doing this, CircleCI gives users the ability to finish their pipelines a lot quicker if they're not running all their jobs in series. From here, you can dive deeper into a job view by clicking on any of the individual jobs that show up within the workflow. Clicking on one of the jobs, for instance, will drop you in the job detail view, where you can see additional detail for that job. The details included on this view include things like the executor, which is the environment in which the job is running, the resource class, which is the size of the executor that you're running with, what branch you're working with, what commit triggered the current build, as well as the author and message that triggered the current job. In addition to that, CircleCI's UI provides the details of all the commands that you are running as part of that job. This makes it easy to do things like debugging or reviewing steps that have failed, which I will talk about a little bit more. From this view, I'm also taking advantage of CircleCI's test splitting. As you can see here, the parallel runs for this test job. As Fee mentioned, parallelism on CircleCI is the ability to take one job and split it across multiple nodes. In this case, I'm doing that for a test job, which allows users to take long-running test suites, run them in parallel across multiple nodes, thereby allowing them to complete their long-running test suites quicker. Now, that's what a successful job looks like on CircleCI, and at this point, you might be wondering what it takes to set one up. Coming from Jenkins, you're probably used to a mix of making configuration settings in the UI as well as in a Jenkins file. On CircleCI, as Fee also mentioned earlier, configuration as code is one of the key principles of how the platform was built out. To show you what one of those configuration files might look like, I'm going to switch over to my code editor. Here, you can see that CircleCI's configuration is managed as a YAML file. This is a config.yaml file that gets checked in along with your source code. This allows you to manage your configuration file with the same processes as you do with your software. From this file, you can see some of the key stanzas or the key sections of a CircleCI config file, namely the orbs, executors, workflows, and jobs. We've spoken about jobs earlier as just a set of steps that you want to run as part of your workflow. The workflow itself is a collection of jobs and how they relate to one another. So you can think of the workflow section as where you get to orchestrate or set up how those jobs run, what order they run in, as well as which jobs depend on other jobs. The executors here is a convenience that CircleCI provides that allows you to define high-level executors and then reuse them for any job across your configuration file. This saves you time in not having to rewrite the exact same executor if you are using it in multiple jobs within the same configuration. In addition to executors, I want to point at orbs, which tend to be, I like to think of it as the rock star of a CircleCI config file. What really makes orbs special on CircleCI is that you can think of orbs as reusable, pre-packaged chunks of configuration logic. You can take those orbs and you can put them into your configuration file and reference any commands or configuration logic that has been defined in that orb without having to re-implement them yourself. To get an idea of what an orb usage might look like, we can look into this Python build job. And let's look through the Python build job in our job section. And what you can see here is within my steps, I'm using an orb here. I am leveraging the AWS ECR orb to log into ECR without writing out all the commands that I would typically need in order to log in to ECR. By doing this, CircleCI makes it easy to pick up additional third-party tools to integrate with any tools you might already be using. And it also makes it easy to standardize how you integrate with any of these tools across your organization. In addition to orbs like this that are written by CircleCI and our partners, you also have the ability to write what we call private orbs. You can think of private orbs as a version of orbs that are only available to you and your organization. Whereas Slack, ECR, and CLI, the orbs I'm referencing here, these are available in our public registry. With a private orb, you have more power and flexibility to implement custom logic that is specific to your organization. In addition to the orb here, you can see within the configuration file, CircleCI also provides some convenience commands in here that you can use as part of your steps, as well as the ability to write your own custom steps or own custom command as part of the steps that you want to run within the job. That's a high level of what a configuration file looks like. And now we'll be going back into the UI to talk about what happens when one of your jobs fail. Let's take the example of an instance in which you are reviewing your pull request, for instance, and you see that one of the checks has failed when you're reviewing that pull request. One of the benefits of having CircleCI closely integrate with your version control system is that we minimize the context switching that's required in order for you to get key summary information about the status of your builds. Take, for instance, on this pull request that I have opened, instead of having to go back into CircleCI's UI to find out if my builds have run successfully, I can simply scroll down to the bottom of this pull request and look at my checks. In the case when something is failing, I can directly click on details and get dropped directly into the CircleCI UI, where I can start beginning to debug what might have failed on this job. From here, you can see where it comes in handy that CircleCI's user interface prints out all the commands that you run as part of your job, as well as the output for those commands. By doing that, CircleCI makes it easy to quickly get information about any of those commands that might have failed. Furthermore, to speed up the debugging process, CircleCI allows teams or users to rerun the job with SSH enabled. This means that CircleCI will kick off the job with the exact same parameters, except in this case, you will have a command that you can copy and paste directly into your terminal to start an SSH session and debug in real time. In addition to rerunning the job with SSH, CircleCI allows you to rerun the workflow from start, or to rerun the workflow only from the jobs that have failed. Rerunning the workflow from the failed jobs is a handy tool for when you're running or dealing with jobs or tests that are failing as a result of flaky network connections or just flaky logic in general. Those are some of the features that CircleCI has in place that speeds up the debugging process. Coming from a platform like Jenkins, for instance, you might be familiar with the toil that it takes to dig through logs and how difficult it is to debug failed builds. On CircleCI, we minimize that toil and that effort by putting all the information you need to debug directly in the user interface and giving you additional features to ease the debugging process. Next, I would like to talk about CircleCI's Insights dashboard. The insights on CircleCI are a feature that allow you to get summary metrics about the health and the behavior of your pipelines or your projects across your entire organization. For instance, you can see here you can get the average duration of your build jobs. You can get information on credit usage. You can get information on success rates, as well as summaries of the workflows by project. In addition, all of this information is filterable by branch, as well as for different time windows. From this view, you can click on any of your projects in here to get additional insights on the project and the workflows that are running within that project. Furthermore, from here, you can click on any of these workflows to get additional information in a graphical output, detailing the workflow runs, the success rate, workflow duration, as well as credit usage. In addition, you can get additional data about the jobs that are running within each workflow, and this is information that you can export directly from the UI for further analysis. I would also like to point out at this point that all of this information is also available via CircleCI's API. In addition to the jobs data, we also have a tab where you can get data for your tests, including things like the total number of tests that have run, flaky tests if we notice any within your project, the most failed test, the slowest test, and all of this information goes back into feeding the platform when you take advantage of our test splitting feature that allows us to optimize automatically all your test runs for you. Those are all the features I wanted to talk about, just to give a high-level overview or introduction into CircleCI. These are by no means an exhaustive list of the features that CircleCI has to offer, but it is an introduction into some of the key features that our customers get a lot of benefit from. In addition to these features I've spoken about, however, there is something that doesn't show up in the user interface, but is a key part of the value that CircleCI delivers to customers, especially to customers who are coming from Jenkins. And that is CircleCI's customer support. If you're coming from Jenkins, you've probably experienced a situation in which you had a question, you needed help with something, and the only place you could go to help was either to Stack Overflow or to any other community-driven forum. On CircleCI, all our customers have direct access to our support engineers. And with this access, it not only allows you to get faster resolution to your support tickets and to fast-track feature escalation, but CircleCI support teams goes beyond just responding to support tickets. In addition to helping you resolve your blockers, CircleCI support team provides custom in-depth trainings, as well as resource and performance optimization sessions that allow you not only to learn how to better use CircleCI, to take advantage of all of its key features, but to make sure you're doing that in the most optimum and efficient way possible. So we're talking about a lot of the features that CircleCI has to offer, and at this point you might be wondering, what does all of this translate into for customers? In the next section, I'll be talking about some of the customers that we have at CircleCI who have migrated from Jenkins to CircleCI. We'll talk about some of the challenges they were facing, as well as how CircleCI has helped them solve those challenges and improve the software delivery process. One of such customers was Axios, which is in the digital media space. Axios was noticing that they spent too much time on maintaining Jenkins, and that all of that time spent maintaining Jenkins was taken away from the time they spent writing, building, and testing their code. By moving over to CircleCI, Axios was able to take advantage of the private orbs feature to standardize their deployment and their workflow best practices. And in addition to that, they were able to take advantage of CircleCI's extra large Mac OS resources, which was significantly faster than the machines they were maintaining for their Jenkins builds. Fastlane also noticed that they were taking a lot of time to push fixes out to customers. The key reason for that was they noticed that their testing took a lot of time. By moving over to CircleCI, they were also able to take advantage of CircleCI's macOS executors, thereby speeding up their builds and increasing how quickly they could push value out to their customers. At this point, I'm curious and would like to know, how confident would you be in migrating Jenkins to a modern CI/CD platform on AWS? In this poll, I'm wondering if you feel that you can confidently migrate without any help of migration services. if you feel that you need approval challenges that you have to overcome in order to do that, if you need a solution provider to help you with the migration, or if you're just at this point interested in learning more about a migration assessment. How confident do you feel you will be in migrating Jenkins to a modern CI/CD platform on AWS? Continuing with some of our customers who have gone through that migration and have left Jenkins to come to CircleCI, Karat, who is in the human resources space, were facing a lot of slowdowns due to development downtime and lost momentum. As a result of migrating over to CircleCI, they were able to see increased productivity without increasing their headcount, and they were able to merge code more frequently than was possible while they were on Jenkins. By moving over to CircleCI, Karat saw that they could do more with the limited resources they have, and instead of scaling out their engineering team with engineers just to focus on their Jenkins need, they were able to focus on software delivery while CircleCI took care of all their CI/CD concerns. In addition to Karat, we have Outfit 7, who is in the mobile gaming space. For Outfit 7, they noticed that their Jenkins environment was hard to scale, and this is a common complaint we get among customers who are sharing their Jenkins environments across multiple builds, multiple projects throughout the organization. By moving to CircleCI, they were able to leverage our highly scalable platform, reduce how much time they were spent on internal support requests, as well as get the advantage of the faster build times. If you would like to read more about how you can implement or improve your build processes with CircleCI, or just want to try your hand out at a CircleCI project, here are a few links that are going to be included in the PDF that you can download after this webinar. I would also like to point out that you don't need to pay for a plan to get started and testing CircleCI. CircleCI has a free tier option that's available for you and your organization that you can start using on your projects, or even on your open source or your side projects, just to get a feel for how intuitive CircleCI's product is compared to Jenkins. At this point, we'd like to open up the floor for any questions that you may have.
All right, so we did receive a question, and so I'll also take this opportunity to remind everyone, please do send in any questions you might have for Svi and Sam. We do have plenty of time to address them. So is CircleCI available as security as a service on major cloud providers like AWS, Azure, or is it available as a Docker container, only available through CircleCI? What are your thoughts?
All right, I can take that. So CircleCI is available as a SaaS platform, and that allows you to deploy to any cloud provider that you want. In today's demo, I demoed our integration with AWS. However, we also have integrations with Azure and GCP as well. And being a non-opinionated platform, you can deploy to any other cloud provider, even if we don't have orbs with them. In addition to that, as far as deployment options, you can deploy CircleCI within your environment, not just on CircleCI.com, but we have a server platform that you can deploy internally, as well as runner options. So CircleCI is not only available via CircleCI.com, and it is not only available with AWS.
Does CircleCI offer any self-hosted options?
Yes, I just touched on that in terms of our server platform, and that is what would address our customers who are looking for self-hosted options.
Does it integrate with GitHub Enterprise?
Yes, CircleCI's self-hosted platform would integrate perfectly with GitHub Enterprise, and that's for the on-prem solution.
And what is the best way to help train and onboard teams?
Great question. CircleCI has a broad suite of resources ranging from our documentation. We have YouTube videos giving customers introductions into how to take advantage of CircleCI features. We also have an on-demand learning platform that customers can take advantage of to learn a little bit more about specific concepts on CircleCI. And if you have any questions or specific usage criteria that are not covered by any of that broad range of resources, like I mentioned, our support team also offers on-demand trainings that they can customize for your specific use case as well.
Awesome. So how about we take a break from the Q&A and let's revisit our polls that we launched throughout today's program. Would you like me to go ahead and put up those results?
Yes, please, Cody.
Sure. So here's our first poll results.
All right, so what we're seeing here is that it looks like the top challenge for teams that are currently working on Jenkins is the difficulty of managing, optimizing, and scaling. And again, that's one of the challenges that Svi pointed out in his section when he was talking about the current challenges of customers on Jenkins today. The lack of onboarding and support is something I touched on a little bit when I highlighted CircleCI support services. And Jenkins being an open source product does not come with any support included. And so these are not a surprise to see any of these on this list.
Svi, do you have any insights?
No, I think this is really pointing out all the issues that we've seen with our customers. It kind of stands out. I think one of the things that is not showing up over here is the lack of visibility into pipelines usage and performance. It feels to me like something that if you may had this before, you would have known how much you probably missed it. But having seen what we've seen today with Sam on the insights dashboards, if you recall, I think one of the nicest things about this is that it's more of the scenarios where you don't know what you don't know, right? And when you are aware of areas where you can improve, that's the key where you actually take initiatives and improve. And I think that's literally what lack of visibility means. It's just something to keep in mind.
Awesome. To our audience, if you have any questions about these polls, do feel free to send those in. We're talking about them. So let's go ahead and review our second poll.
All right, looks like primary infrastructure for application development is AWS, then Azure, IBM Red Hat, Google on-premise. Okay, looks like AWS is the top up choice for a lot of our attendees today. That also anecdotally seems like what we hear from a lot of our customers that we work with as well. But as I mentioned during our section earlier, this is not working with CircleCI is not limited to AWS. CircleCI is a flexible platform that allows you to integrate with a lot of different cloud providers. But as far as AWS goes, we have a lot of integrations already pre-written as a result of our close partnership with AWS.
All right. How about our third poll? We ready for that?
Oh, let's do it.
All right. Popping up right now.
In terms of how confident we feel in migrating to Jenkins, looks like we're split evenly between needing more information and needing a solution provider to help with the migration. And again, not a surprise. A lot of times, like Svi said, a lot of teams get comfortable with using the same platforms that they have. And without exploring a lot of others, there's a sense of, when we talk to customers, there's this sense of, well, fear might be too strong of a word, but a reluctance to migrate to a new platform. And part of that is the heavy work it takes to do a lot of that migration and a lot of the downtime. And for that reason, teams need a close integration, a close partnership with their partners in order to make sure that that migration is successful. That's part of where CircleCI support services comes into play, where when you're making that migration, you don't need a third-party solution provider to help you with that. You can partner with your dedicated support team. And again, the approval challenges and not migrate without any help of migration services. Again, also common challenges we see in enterprise environments as well. Svi, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, that's a great summary, Sam. I think in addition to that, we kind of alluded on this a little bit, where I mentioned in one of my slides that one of the nice things about CircleCI is that it manages all that infrastructure in the background. So you don't have, so your developers can continue to develop, continue to do what they're doing. And CircleCI will manage the rest, whether you need to scale up or scale out your application within your pipeline to increase performance. It's all being done in the backend. And of course, we have all our awesome integrations like the ones we've shown today with AWS.
All right, well, Sam and Svi, it looks like that exhausts our poll results as well as our questions. So I do want to return the floor to the both of you, just in case there were anything that you wanted to let our audience know before we close out.
But before we close out, I would want to remind everyone again that CircleCI offers a free tier. So if you're curious on how any of those features we talked about worked, or you want to get a hands-on comparison of how one of your projects builds on CircleCI versus on Jenkins, CircleCI offers free build minutes and access to a lot of our executors, and you can try that on today without having to purchase a plan.
All right, Svi, anything from your side?
Yeah, I think just to kind of extend what Sam was saying, we do have our great docs website, docs.circleci.com. There is the section I mentioned about developers, if you want to look for quick tutorials and guidance, as well as our awesome UI that Sam was showing today. If you need to get started and you need to build a config, don't try to do it yourself. You can use the UI to help you with that. To craft kind of a starter config to get you started and go with your evaluation.
Well, awesome. Thank you both so much for taking the time to join us today. I especially liked getting to speak with you guys before the program and getting better acquainted with you both. So it was really nice to meet you both.
It's been a pleasure, Cody. And
pleasure, Cody.
Thank you to all the attendees for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
And to our attendees, I'd love to remind them that this session was recorded. So following this program, you'll receive a link with link to access this recording on demand, or you can find it living on the DevOps website at devops.com/webinars. I did also promise at the top of the hour that we would be giving away 4 $25 Amazon gift cards. So our winners are Vincent N, Barna V, Mayor M, and Brian N. So to our 4 winners, congratulations. Keep an eye on your email inbox to claim that gift card. But if you don't happen to see that email, do please check your spam folder. I'd like to thank AWS and CircleCI for sponsoring today's program. And to everyone who's joined us for the last 45 minutes, we really appreciate you spending time with us. We do just want to ask for one more second of your time for a survey that will pop up on your screen as soon as we close out. But otherwise, we hope to see everyone at an upcoming Techstrong Learning program. Everyone, have a great rest of your day. And Sam, Svi, thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye, folks.
Thank you.